today, so if anybody comes a little late, they'll be able to watch anything that they missed. So welcome back. This is week 12, 11, no, I'm not sure what week it is. I think 11 or 12. 12, week 12. So we are, as I was saying, we're sort of starting to wrap up the semester. We still have today's class and then 2 more weeks, but hopefully these last few classes will be significantly shorter than they have been in the past. Again, just kind of wrapping things up, a few projects that you'll be able to spend most of the evening working on, getting a good chunk of it done. So, first off, before I forget, is anyone graduating this semester? Ooh, Cassandra. Okay. Do you happen to know offhand? Ooh, 2 of you, Elise and Cassandra. When, I'm sure I'll get an email soon, but do you know when grades need to be in by chance? Because I want to make sure that I have that all set for you and it's up. Okay. Like I said, I'm sure that I'll be getting an email, or I can reach out to Dr. Carbonara. So, is there anyone else that you know of maybe who's not here yet? We have Cassandra and Elise. All right. Okay. So, awesome. So, I'll look into that and let you guys know if there's anything that we need to expedite. I'm sure there's this project, the Blackboard tutorial. I think the only other thing is the whole spreadsheet with the peer review. If there's a journal, that won't really matter. Oh, it's not till May 11th. Okay. So we might actually be ending class with enough time that we're not going to have to rush through that. Okay. So let's see what else. Most of you have already finished your field. Next week, I think it's next week, I'm going to ask you to get your field forms into the 553 course if you haven't already. Feel free that if you already have your field spreadsheet all filled out, feel free to get that up onto that into the discussion board there. If not, there's no sort of immediate rush. Cassandra, does that answer that question, or?
So field is due next week then? Is that what you said?
I think so, yes. It's on the calendar.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'll check. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I don't think that it's on one of the assignments that I have in this presentation. So I'm assuming that means that it's due the next week. But like I said, if you have it done and you're ready for me to do sort of the final review, then you can go ahead and put that up there. Maybe shoot me an email, let me know that it's there. But I kind of pop in there every once in a while to see if anybody has posted anything there. Does anybody want to share anything about the field? We're not going to be, we don't have any official sharing set up for these last 3 weeks, but if anybody would like to share something, you are definitely welcome. Or if you have a question that you'd like to get some help from the group. Okay, well then we will go ahead and keep it moving for today. Let's see. A couple of things came up. I looked at your final postings. And one thing that I did want to talk about, because there were a few of you that talked about it, was scrolling. So before we kind of get to this, and you maybe, if we have a couple of people that want to talk about sort of the final additions that you as a group did for your website, we can. I just wanted to share a couple things with you. Let me see. So I know that when we were talking, when we did sort of that first week of web design, we kind of talked about scrolling, and it sort of came up that um, people are more used to scrolling now than ever before, right? They scroll and scroll and scroll on Facebook or Instagram or whatever sort of that social media that they're used to, Twitter, right? But what you want to make sure is that you're making your design choices based on your content. So it used to be try to get everything what they call above the fold, which is sort of within this frame, the frame that you see here. But on a school website, there's probably more content that you'll want to do. And I don't think that I ever said we don't want to have a scroll. But what was brought up is that just be mindful of that scroll. A lot of people are potentially accessing your website using mobile devices, but because it is a community website, you will have sort of across the gamut. You'll have students, parents, community members, administrators, teachers, that are accessing. So you just want to be sort of mindful of that. And let me scroll here. So there are some studies out. Just be mindful of what who's doing the studies. I did notice that there were a couple of you that sort of posted some articles, and they were all regarding the same study. And when you click on the study link, like in the article, the study isn't available. So just, be mindful of that. But, some studies I would say are probably more valid than others. If it's I don't know, here's, ClickTail, right? So they're talking here about page views, and people scroll on most pages. 22% scrolled all the way to the bottom. Well, that sounds pretty good, but just remember that if 22 scrolled to the bottom, that means that almost 80% didn't. But again, TMZ. When we are thinking about best practices, really it's all about considering your audience, and are you giving them content that requires them to scroll but is going to be engaging them, and they're going to want to continue to scroll, right? So think about, I think I found there was one that had sort of it was this one. I had to scroll further. This one here. There are positives and negatives, advantages and disadvantages to each. And again, as long as you have your website content is engaging, and people are going to want to continue, then multiple scrolls is good. When you're on Instagram, you're going to want to scroll and scroll and scroll, right? Because you want to see what the next picture is. But on a school website, you might want to only show the most recent 3 or 4 news articles. You don't want to show all of them, right? Because you don't want to have to have that page super long, right? They can maybe find another way to find archived articles or things like that. If you have lots of media, it's going to just take a page longer um, to load. So, that would maybe be a consideration if you have a sports page that has lots of videos of, you know, recent games, right? Then you might want to consider, are you going to plop them all on one page, or are you going to maybe have a football page and a basketball page if you've got maybe multiple videos for each? So again, just kind of use the knowledge that you have for design, and you know, make a reasonable choice. Consider your audience. Scrolling is okay. I don't want you to think that scrolling is not okay and that everything has to fit on one page. I just wanted to sort of clarify that. But again, be reasonable, right? It's not the same group that's looking at Facebook necessarily that's going to come to your website and want to have to search all the way down the page to try to find what they're looking for. So it might be better to chunk it. Okay, so let's hear from maybe one person from each group, or you don't have to necessarily be the spokesperson for your group, but maybe talk about what were the tweaks or additions that you ended up making on sort of your final web page. Just kind of share those out. Go ahead, Wayne.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm on a different machine. So, yeah, one of the things that I did was one of the recommendations was to add some more information on the academics page. So I created a new academics page and a new table from within there to kind of make it just more rich with content. So that's just one of the things that I did for the website.
Awesome. Okay, Joe?
So we did a couple minor tweaks to the site. We bumped the font size on our navigation bar up. We thought it was a little small, so we moved that up to a 15 point. We also went back and made sure the alt tags were set up for every image. It was weird with Wix, even though it was showing that we were putting in an alt tag, it was not really showing up like an alt tag. It was like a note or something that we had to put in there. So we went back and checked all that. And then just a little consistency stuff, like where we had buttons which were all caps, and in one case the alumni button was just initial caps. So we fixed that to be all caps so that we would stay consistent.
Awesome. Great. Anybody else like to share? Just some tweaks. You could talk about whether you tried to hit all of them, whether you considered some and then didn't change them, or maybe why.
I guess I'll go for my group since nobody else is going. I was with Jocelyn and Tyler. We had some comments about our Google site that suggestions were that we had like a comments section on the bottom of our pages. So we went through and got rid of the comment sections at the bottom. Other suggestions were, a couple people were saying about our navigation was on the left side, that it would be easier if it was at the top because the navigation was a little bit longer than the length of the screen. So you had to kind of scroll down to see the rest of the navigation. So we did do a horizontal one, and I think there was a comment about the text being blue instead of black like our themes. So I did the horizontal thing, and then we changed the text to black to match the theme, and the navigation bar we kept as gold to match our header. I'm trying to think what else was going on with that. The home page, we kind of shortened that up a bit, and I don't know if anybody else from my group wants to go and add what else we changed, but there was a whole bunch of things that we had kind of going on with ours.
Okay, awesome. In general, did you find the suggestions helpful? Okay. See, Cassandra said yes in the chat. Jocelyn too. Okay, good.
This is Wayne. Yeah, there were a lot of things that were helpful, and I made mention of this in like my final I don't know, post about it, is that like the ones that affected like what I was responsible for, you know, I thought they were pretty helpful. There were some of them that I didn't agree with, so I just simply didn't do. I don't know if that's, you know, if that means anything or not.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine, right? We all have sort of different design techniques and aesthetics that we like, and so, you know, by no means did you have to make all of the changes. Something that I may maybe like or prefer on a web page, maybe someone else might feel or not feel strongly or not feel strongly about. So that's why, you know, when I left the comments for each of the groups, you know, I would say something like maybe consider doing this, or, you know, I wonder if doing this would help this to, you know, look better on the page. You know, and so maybe try it. If it shoots something way off, you know, like it looks good in this part, but then it makes this part of the page look really bad. So, you know, that would maybe be a design consideration that you try, and you say, no, without making like other major changes on the page, you know, it doesn't make sense to make this change. Okay? Anything else? Okay. We can go ahead and move forward. Penny, I think your mic is not muted. If you're having trouble, I can, oh, there we go. Okay, I was gonna say, if anybody ever has trouble muting, I can mute you on my side as well, if you need help. Okay, so you probably noticed when you came onto your Blackboard that the SES for online courses is up. So feel free to do that at any time. It's open from April 9th to the 30th. In your navigation, if you go all the way, at least on mine, it's all the way to the right. You go to my surveys/SES, and then if you're taking multiple courses, you should see one for each of the courses that you're taking. Teaching with Blackboard. This is our next project. So you're going to, I'm going to actually, while I'm talking about it here, let's go to, gotta move my stuff over here. I will open up the self-guided tutorial part 1. It's not currently open. I didn't want it to confuse you by opening it too soon. So let me go ahead and make that visible to everyone. Now, if you have already done the Blackboard 9.1 self-guided tutorial, all right, so that course is now available. So in your list, you'll now see, it'll say SP18. I think it has course in the title, Instructor Self-Guided Tutorial Part 1. This is where you get all the information, and it'll tell you, it'll guide you through different sections, and then each of you should also see your practice site. So it'll say practice site and have your Duquesne ID at the end. So I actually have everybody's practice site, you can see here, so I can go in and kind of take a peek. I'll be doing spot checks through the tutorial. So typically what happens is that, you know, you would do this, and, you know, Blackboard or the tech group at Duquesne will get back to you. But basically the way that we run it through 513 is that I'll make sure that everything goes, you go through all the steps, and then I send in your names to get your certificate for this. It just sort of takes it off the plate, and then I can give you credit for doing it. So if you've already taken the Blackboard, let me bring it here. If you've already done the tutorial, basically all I need you to do for the next 2 weeks is to, oops, wrong thing. All I need you to do is send me your certificate that says that you completed the course. I already have Jiggers, and so basically what I'll do is I'll give you full credit for this assignment. I think at the beginning of the year when I asked, there were about 5 or 6 of you potentially. Can I see a show of hands if you've already done the self-guided tutorial? Most likely, and I think you guys did it in undergrad, right? Okay, so Jocelyn and Jigger, was there anybody else that completed it? Oh yeah, absolutely, Penny. If you can do one LMS, really, it's not that hard to catch up on many more. Okay, so Jocelyn, just make sure that you send me that certificate. If you're not sure where it is, you can contact Dr. Carbonera or the tech group, and they'll probably be able to. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sending the picture. So the rest of you, basically, again, what you're going to do is, no problem, Sean. What you're going to do is you're going to be using that part 1 tutorial. Again, it's going to walk you through, and you're going to be developing your practice site as you go. So there are like discussion board posts for each section, and then it'll tell you also to do this in your practice site so that you can practice using the LMS, right? So you'll kind of be jumping back and forth from the tutorial and to your practice site, and then back to your tutorial. So basically what happens is that I'm just going to do spot checks. I'm going to check to make sure that you have done all of your, Wayne, I'll double check at the end to make sure that everybody has the practice site. So I'll just sort of check out the activity completions. I'll take a peek in your practice site, see how that's going. And then again, once you've gone through all of the lessons, I will send your names and you'll get a completion certificate I think they'll send it to you from Dr. Carbonera's office. Yeah, Jigger. Go ahead, Jigger.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So if we already sent the certificate in, do we not do this part, or do you still want us to do this part?
You're not going to be required to retake the tutorial and do the practice site. So you'll just have, they'll be like...
So the practice site...
Go ahead.
So the practice site is just as a way of just being like a resource as we're going through the tutorial. So if we already did that, then we don't need to worry about it.
Correct, right. So in the practice site, in the tutorial, it'll say, go to your practice site, and in lesson 1 they're talking about something specific, and so they'll say, okay, now go to your practice site and add whatever it's asking you to add, and so you just jump over there and do that. So it's not all theory, it's theory and practice.
Okay.
So this week you're going to do the getting started lesson and lessons 1, 2, and 3. Next week you're going to do lessons 4, 5, and I think it's called like final steps. Okay, so all the tutorial units are due at the end of not this week, but next week. Okay, so, but if you sit down and you have the time to go through, I think each lesson takes about a half an hour, including the time that you actually do the practice. So if you have, a chunk of time and you want to move forward faster, you don't have to wait till next week to do lessons 4, 5, and then finish it up. It's a self-guided, so if you have the time, go ahead and work on it when you can. But it's not due until 2 weeks at the end of next week. Okay? Any general questions about when things are due? Try to get getting started 1, 2, and 3 done this week. If you keep going, that's fine. Then next week we'll just finish up the last 3 lessons. So this hasn't changed in, well, definitely since 2013. But this is what the navigation looks like in the Blackboard 9.1. So this week, again, getting started. Click on it. Make sure you read the announcements, because I think that also helps to guide you. So kind of just take a peek around, but definitely, click on everything that it has. You'll see that you can track your progress. So by there, you can see if you've missed any of the assignments. If you run into any problems, email me first. Again, since they've set this up, the way that it's set up is that it doesn't go, they want you to come to me, and I can kind of work through it rather than going to Blackboard tutorial at duq.edu. Okay? If it's not something that I can take care of, then I can contact them, but usually most of the time, any issues that have arisen in the past, I've been able to sort of navigate you through those without having to contact them. So this is on my side. This is what it looks like. So when you do the getting started, I see a little exclamation point. Basically, I'm pretty sure that most of the assignments are posting to a discussion board, but there might be some other things. But they come up. This is how I know where you're at and how I can go in and sort of grade. On Sunday, I'll kind of do a quick, walk through and grade everything. But just like in your Blackboard course, it says the last time that you were on, and it'll just sort of, track your progress and let you know where you're at. So again, this week, getting started 1, 2, and 3, and then next week, lessons 4, 5, and then finishing it up. Okay, so here's what the lessons are about. Getting started, it'll talk about navigating the self-guided tutorial so that you know how to get through the tutorial itself. Should talk a little bit about the practice site and so on. Lesson 1 is all about Blackboard. Lesson 2 is designing a Blackboard course site. So definitely, if you haven't been pushed to the practice site before Lesson 2, this is probably definitely a time where you'll have to go to your practice site. At some point in Lesson 2 or 3, it tells you to make your course available, just like I did. It's going to walk you through how to do that, so that if you're the instructor, this is how you make the course available to your students. And then Lesson 3 is building the course menu, so you'll have to do that in your practice site. And then Lesson 4 for the following week is adding course content. Again, in practice, you'll do that. You'll build your course menu in the practice site. I can't remember if in Lesson 5, the Grade Center, if it asks you to put in something that's going to be graded, so that you have sort of a quiz or something that pops into your grade book. And then final steps is to kind of tie all those loose ends together. 1, 2, 3, or getting started 1, 2, 3 this week, and then 4, 5, and finishing it up. Okay. So assignments for this week, wrapping things up. Of course, you have our research and reflection journal. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 2 tools that you haven't discussed yet. So some Web 2.0 favorites. So it could be something that maybe somebody did a screencast on, or something that you just sort of go out and do a little research on and find. What I'd like you to do, hold on. I'll go ahead and post this into the chat right now. So this is after you, or as you're writing about it, here is another form that has, again, this is just so that you can see an example of another form. We can collect some more Web 2.0 tools and apps. Again, questions that are relevant are required. So if it's on here, it's required, because if it's not relevant, why would I need to put it on the form, right? So you'll do this one for each of your two new Web 2.0 apps. You'll identify what the tool is. You'll put in a website. You'll do a quick review. This does not have to be, extensive, but kind of give a quick review, like this is good for elementary, or this would work really well in the middle school science classroom, or things like that. Easy to navigate. Student accounts do not need setup. Things like that. Things that are going to make it easier for a teacher if they're just browsing sort of this list that it's going to make for applications or tools to use in a classroom. It's going to help them to see, will this one fit into my classroom? And then novel ways to use the tool in the classroom. So again, just sort of come up with some ideas. Again, here is you can choose as many as you'd like. Maybe it's better for elementary or middle or high. If it's good for all of them, you can go ahead and click as many as is appropriate. Okay, so for each tool that you're adding, that you're adding in this RRJ11, you're just going to add to this with this form. And I will be posting the spreadsheet so that you can kind of go in afterwards and see what's been added. Any questions on what I'm looking for this RRJ11?
Is the Google form going to be posted somewhere in the week 12 so I can just go to it from there?
Yeah, I think it's in week 12 already. I'll double check before I shut things down today, but I am pretty certain. Let me just go there real quick while I'm thinking about it.
Okay, thank you.
There. Oops, wrong one. Week. So this is week 12, but it's our RRJ. I'll add it here as soon as class is over. I think it might be stuck because, again, we shifted 1 week because of the way Easter break fell. So I'll see if it might be in week 11 and I can shift it, or I'll add it regardless. Okay. All right. So peer review websites are now done. So our last peer review rubric is for the web design. There's not one for the Hummingbird project this semester, since I wasn't, again, since it was added so close to the start of class, I wasn't quite sure, what was going on with that. But if you would like to do one for your partner, feel free to do that. Jigger, yeah?
What happens if the part? I think Carrie does mine, and she was in my group. How does that work? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a problem. You have, if you worked with someone on this project, just like it was for the wiki, there were some people that were paired up that were in the same wiki group. You have a maybe a better understanding of sort of the details of the project, and maybe that would be helpful in creating the rubric. Okay, so since this is our last one, what you're going to do is you're going to fill it out just like you did, and this time you're still going to send your for support reflection just like you have in the past, but now you can go ahead, make sure that your workbook is complete. Okay, so that includes the header stuff, which says the project, the creator, so that's who your partner is, the reviewer, your name, and the date. That's on top of every page, so make sure that's all filled in. Make sure that you have identified in the rubric, you can either make it bold or highlight it or change the color of the cell. Whatever you do, make sure that you have the rubric showing what you scored, and then underneath the rubric, there are a couple of other things that need filled in. So it's average. You have to just put the average and then the rating. So maybe 3.6 exceeds. So just make sure that that's filled in on every page, because each peer review is worth 15 points. You can see how it's broken down at the bottom here. 10 for the review itself, 2 for the header and the score. So one at the top, 1 for the bottom, right? And then 3 for the email. So you've been accumulating points. I've been keeping track in my little notebook sort of as the semester has gone by, and so at the end it's all worth 90 points total. Okay, again 15 for each of the 6 activities.
So we're just going to send them the final email like we've been doing, but make sure that we include this this whole spreadsheet in our email?
Yep.
Okay, and then we don't have to have like the actual like emails that we've been sending all this time to turn in, do we?
No. I've been,
okay.
That's why I have you attach me, so that I can then keep track of those. Okay. Any other questions on the peer review and workbook? Again, it's just like every other one that you've done, but this time you do include that finalized spreadsheet. This is due Friday. On your calendar, it has the date. I think Friday is what, the 12th? No, 13th. Penny, go ahead. Go ahead, Penny. In the chat, you can put it. Let me double check this. I'll find the calendar while we're looking.
I didn't know this computer even had a microphone, but I'm sure you'll get background noise, so I don't.
Oh, we lost your audio. So the peer review email with the form or the spreadsheet, yeah, it's due on Friday.
A couple of people have asked about the RRJ. Is it just the form, not a journal writing?
No, it's both. It's a journal writing. It is the journal writing like usual, and then you're going to do the form as well. So it's both. So you journal just like usual, and then you do the form. Sorry, I missed your questions before. Okay. So everybody clear on that? You are both journaling and doing that form. It is still our research and reflection journal. Okay, so that is it. I'll go ahead back to this, or I can go on any other one. Jocelyn, do you have a question?
Yes, for the field hours, our final ones, should we just post them into the same thread we did halfway through, or should we create a new thread in that discussion board?
Same thread. Same thread.
Okay.
Yep. And then basically for the those of you that are doing the hours, the field hours, basically what I'll do, I'll go through, I'll let you know if there are any issues, and then I will, once I okay it, then I have to send them to Dr. Carbonera so that he can okay it, and then he gives that to, I think, Kamal, and then he puts them into the system. Penny, did you have another question, or is your hand still up? Okay, Melanie?
Is it okay to turn in our field hours when we get them done? Because I won't get mine done until like the 28th of the month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I just want to double check.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're done already, you can post them. If you still have, you know, field hours that you need to collect, then, you know, at the end of the semester or whenever, we'll, you know, the end of a class, then we'll take care of it then.
How many hours do we need?
It's suggested that for each of the core courses that you do 15 hours, and then you can have, so that you can hit all of those competencies, you know, it'll sort of balance out that way.
Now, I think, I don't know. Actually, it's not going to matter for me anyway. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no worries. Any other questions? All right, feel free to email me if something comes up. I'm going to go ahead and put this form into week 12, and you are free to go. Oops. Go ahead and work on your self-guided tutorials. You've got lots of time today. Have a great week. If you're testing, if you're middle school or elementary, have a good testing weeks. See you guys. Bye, guys.
Hey, thanks for your patience with my connectivity issues. I don't know what's going on with my laptop. I can work offline on projects, but I can't email or, you know, connect to the internet or anything. I had this issue once before, so I'm trying to troubleshoot it, but I may have to give a shout out for some help rather than online help. But have a great week. Thank you.
All right. See you later. Good luck.